losing Nick Nurse and getting another head coach, now like the vibe just feels different. What do you think your feelings are on this new head coach, and how does he fit in with what the Raptors want to do?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. So the thing about Nick Nurse is kind of quiet quit on this team, or loudly quit on this team. There was a press conference that happened in Philadelphia, which I don't think is a coincidence. I mean, allegedly, not a coincidence. Where he basically was just like, yeah, it's been 10 years that I've been here, 5 years as an assistant, 5 years as a head coach, and 10 years is a good time to sort of look back. And everyone, allegedly people on the team, were just like, and they end up losing that game in a blowout. And it felt like, oh yeah, your coach is quitting on you, the players are registering it, and it's all bad here. And it just felt like the vibes could not be lower after that game. You can miss 18 free throws in a play-in game. So they could always get lower. But yeah, so I just think that I think that Nick Nurse had a lot of people start to I think a lot of what Nick Nurse did grates on people after a while. I think he's a great head coach. I think it's a good acquisition for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's been the guy that's had the best luck, the best results against Joel Embiid, and now he gets to coach Joel Embiid, which is exciting. Right. He held Joel Embiid to 0 points in a game. He's the only person who could say.
Yeah.
Hey, neither will I. Joel Embiid averages the least amount of points against the Toronto Raptors, specifically because of what Nick Nurse can do. And this is even post Marc Gasol. You had Aaron Baines shutting down Nick Nurse right before Aaron Baines left the league. So Nick Nurse has had, he's a great coach for a lot of reasons. He's incredibly creative in what he does. But again, it just felt like, and we talked about it, whether it be the minutes, whether it be calling players out to the media, whether it be kind of quitting on your team in the city that you're now working for, whether it be any of those things, it just felt like the vibes could not have been lower. There was, for a team that's really prided itself on culture and stability and continuity, even like Dwayne Casey, for example, was not Masai Ujiri's hire. He wasn't Masai Ujiri's guy, but Masai Ujiri let him stay here until it was a breaking point. Until it was like, okay, you cannot get swept as the higher seed 3 times out of 4 years. It took doing that. And this is not his hire, but he just prides himself so much on having that continuity and having that stability in a structure, that he let it go that long with Dwayne Casey. And Nick Nurse could not last that long. And Nick Nurse is his hire. And Nick Nurse is a guy who he sort of envisioned this team, he built this team with it seemed very collaborative with the type of guys that Nick Nurse likes to play and the type of guys that Masai Ujiri likes to draft. It felt like there was cohesion in that front office and coaching staff, and there clearly wasn't. And I think that it was just time to part. And the vibes could not have been worse, where you're just having every conversation in the offseason being about a culture change and a culture reset for a team that's prided itself on having championship culture and winning. That after the championship season, they won more games than the year before. They had the second best record in the league outside of the Milwaukee Bucks. And we're looking really, really great and looking like things could really happen for them until the, bubble happened. And I think the bubble impacted the Raptors more than it impacted any other team, because a lot of our international players could not go to America and had to stay in Canada, where we had the toughest restrictions. Pascal Siakam didn't touch a basketball for 4 months.
They couldn't leave anywhere, right?
They couldn't leave their apartment. They could not go to the gym in the Raptors training facility. They could not go to the gym in their condos that they all live in. They had to be confined to, whatever 1,000 square feet that they have in their condos. And could not do anything. You can't dribble a basketball because there are people who live underneath you. So we had Serge Ibaka and Pascal Siakam and all these guys really complain about the fact that they just could not do anything throughout that. And then the bubble comes around and Pascal's obviously injured and things really falter and you lose in Game 7 to the Boston Celtics. But I think that Raptors team really did believe. I hated it. Just because, Kyle Lowry got ejected in the final seconds and complimented Fred VanVleet quite a bit, but my goodness.
But that OG shot was crazy.
Beautiful. But it goes down to Game 7. It goes down to the final possession of Game 7, and your best player and point guard is on the bench because he just got ejected off of, some bogus calls late in the fourth. But maybe I'm biased. But so I think the Raptors really looked at that and said, hey, A lot of people counted us out with Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green leaving, but we are, like, if you look at, our advanced stats, if you're looking at the record, if you're looking at what we've been doing, it's actually been pretty good. And it's only until Pascal Siakam goes down with a groin injury that things really start to falter. And so they really believed in this championship DNA that they had. But they lost that clearly. You have everyone from the team except for Pascal Siakam gone. OG Anunoby, of course, was on the team, but he was not a part of the playoff run because of an appendicitis. So everyone is gone, including your coach. And so the Raptors are really looking for a culture reset and for a change. And I'm all for it because I think it's necessary. And, if Nick Nurse is the one thing sort of holding you back and tying you to that, it's fine to sort of cut your ties there, let him move on. He wants to be on a team that wants to contend, and he's not going to play any of your young guys. And if you're really starting that new phase, you need to be able to play those guys, and that's not something that he's been willing to do. And so now you have a new guy come in who is also creative and also outside of the box, and also didn't have a traditional route towards the NBA. And it seems to be more positive, but also, who am I to say that? Because last year I thought the vibes were positive when the whole team was doing Rico runs.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you at all, though, because again, like, I felt that Nick Nurse was starting to weigh on the team a lot more, because again, like, the minutes and also the interviews that I would watch where he's just outwardly saying the truth. I'm sorry, most coaches in the NBA will not be like, up front. He'll literally tell you why this player is not playing, how bad he's been. Like, he will say that. And I think that both of those things weigh on you, especially after like the COVID season and all this other stuff. Like, that stuff does pile up on the team. So I feel like
these guys were in contract years. Sorry to interrupt, but these guys were in contract years.
Contract years where their future in the NBA can be impacted severely by the roles they're playing for Nick Nurse. So it makes sense why a lot of the team was kind of upset and he was losing that locker room. So I do feel like by losing him, you are at least saying, okay, new direction, new voice, let's reset our culture, let's do things in a different way, and maybe that changes a lot of things for this team moving forward, because continuity matters, right? Like, we just saw Denver win their title after years and years of just saying, nope, same coach, we're going to build this up and find ways to change. So pivoting now for the Raptors, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense. My just processing on what this Raptors team exactly can be is, at the very least, you lose Van Fleet, but they did draft a guy who's known for shooting. Grady Dick, I mean, while obviously he's not going to be as prolific as a ball handler at least day one, you're getting spacing to somewhat fit from day one. What are your thoughts on the draft picks this year for the Raptors?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I was excited about getting Grady Dick here. I honestly would have been open to anybody. It's just he's been a lot of fun and really embraced the city, which I think people really love right away. But yeah, you needed spacing, so getting in Grady Dick, and then you also have Marquise Noel, who kind of sort of fits in your Van Vliet mold in that he is this undersized, undrafted guy coming in, but he's there's all this talk about him sort of fitting into the Fred VanVleet mold. I want to say Fred VanVleet's 6 feet tall. Marquise Noel is 5'8". There's still a significant difference in terms of size there as well. But you have guys that are really sort of buying into this culture and are really sort of can't, like, this sounds so ridiculous because it's like, okay, we're talking about basketball, what do vibes have to do with anything? But when you have this gray cloud over your team and it seems like no one wants to be here, no one is happy with each other, all of that stuff is weighing on everybody all season long. You hear reports about arguments and fights and this and that, and one side is this and there's like two sides. There's the vets and the young guys, and they don't seem to get along, and then you have the coaching staff exacerbating it. That's not how you pronounce that word. But you just have it's just like it just felt awful, and you just have these young kids come in that are excited about it, and everyone's excited for them, and it changes things. But also having his spacing matters. Like having Otto Porter back, hopefully for this season, as he opted into his contract, so he's back in. Hopefully that spacing helps things. Hopefully the Dennis Schroeder acquisition in the offseason helps things as well. And so you're hoping that a lot of these guys can come in. I don't know that they can replace a one Fred VanVleet, but hopefully with just sort of mixing in and getting everybody to work, you don't really miss it. And also, who's to say that Fred VanVleet is 2021 self and not the 2022 self? Who knows?